Today's episode is brought to you by our friend Seamus over at Shamey BMW. This guy loves his big rigs. He loves putting lights and things. Right now, he's working on a Revell fire truck, so we know that's going to be lit, right? He also likes doing some military vehicles and aircraft, and I know he likes to dabble in the occasional rally car as well. So go check out his channel over at Shamey BMW. Give him a like, give him a subscribe, because he's going to let you know how to get lit. All right, guys, on to our feature presentation. Hey guys, welcome back. This is the final for our Moebius / Model King Ford F-100 service truck. This was a nice kit. Never having built a Moebius kit before, I wasn't quite sure what we were in for, but from all the reviews and stuff we'd seen out there, we felt like we might be in for a treat, and we were not disappointed. So this is our final reveal of it. We did want to go with something that would probably have worked at perhaps a car service station, something like that. So Gulf Oil is one of my favorite liveries. I did have a few Gulf Oil decals in the decal stash, so we added those on there. I like it. I really like it. Even though we did a truck that's like technically blue and white, and Gulf is like blue and orange, I think it works. I think it works okay. If I had gone and done the orange on this thing, the rust wouldn't show up at all. So I think we were kind of lucky with our color choices, because I did choose the colors before I chose the actual decals for the kit. And that did lead to a little bit of a problem that actually turned into a happy circumstance. We had already dull coated everything, and then we went and put our decals on. And oh, no, you're not supposed to put decals over dull coat. Well, that's true. However, we did want to have some chipping with the decals and stuff, so that worked out well, because where they had silvered and peeled up a little bit, we just hit them with a very fine sanding sponge, peeled them right off. Where they stuck, they stayed. We just went over it again with another coat of flat clear, sealed it all down, and away we went. So not exactly something I would recommend doing in the future, because it was a little bit of a nail biter of a situation. But again, barn find, if it doesn't turn out right, barn find. We did not put on the little filter cap. We just stuffed a piece of paper towel in there. We had colored with red Sharpie and then a little bit of black panel liner to kind of make it look dirty. So we just stuffed that in there. We wanted to make the truck look like it could be driven, like somebody could hop in it, turn the key, and run it, so they could run down the street to the bakery and get lunch or something like that for the rest of the crew. But as far as hitting the freeways and going on road trips and stuff, don't think it would make it. Let's see. So we did do two different techniques on this truck here. So here's our embarkation line of the two different techniques. The cab was a sanding technique. So what we did was we painted everything with the red oxide primer, went over that with the light gray primer, and then on top of that we did our color coats, our TS7 Racing White, and then our intermediate blue, which was a military color. It's an AS line, and I don't remember exactly what number it is because I don't have the can. This was the last of it, so so I apologize about that. But once that all cured up and everything, we went over it with some sanding sticks and some sanding sponges, took down the color, got down to the red oxide primer, and then once we got to that point, we built it back up again using mission models. And this is the standard rust. We all know the joke on that one, the standard rust. And then over the top of the standard rust, we lightened it all down a little bit, highlighted it a bit with the light rust number 1. So and then sealed it and everything, because the mission model stuff is an acrylic, so we did need to seal it. Not a problem, came out just fine. Really like how it turned out. On the service bed, we did a different technique altogether. We did the red oxide primer, and then we did salt. So some of us are familiar with the salting technique, and we know that we sometimes can't exactly put salt where we want it to be, because it's kind of like herding cats. You put some water on the surface, you sprinkle some salt on there, the salt adheres to where it wants to adhere, you let it dry, and then you go back and then do your gray primer and then your body color on top of that. And then once that's done, you flake off the salt, and we have some nice rusty panels. Now the red oxide primer doesn't have the fuzzy rust texture to it that we like to see, so we did help that out again with another overspray of the mission models standard rust and then a little bit of light rust. And then we went Like in these areas down here, we went over it with some dark brown from Tamiya, some panel washes, and then just did some light streaking techniques with Q-tips to bring down some streaks. And then on the top here, like on the edges and along the top of the box, we did a little sponging technique that we had picked up from our friend Steve over at the Model Minion. We tore off a couple pieces of sponge, dipped those in the mission models, and then just dabbed it about here and there, built up a little bit of texture, toned it down a little bit if we needed to, but it's the whole thing about weathering is layers. Our decals, where they I said earlier, where they chipped off, we were fine with that. We just left it and resealed everything, and then went on from there. Around on the back side here, I'm not completely on camera. There we go. We did do the high visibility decal back there. And I figured since this isn't a concave area, it wasn't going to get much wear, so we just sort of dirtied that up, and then we went along the edge here with a sponge technique to highlight like maybe some fresh rust is showing up on there. And then some dribbles off the lights here, like water had been pooling in there and dribbling out. And then in the back, there's a wheel cover and a bottle jack that do come in the kit. So I just decided to go ahead and toss those back there and weather them up a little bit. The salting technique worked out so well for the service bed, because this is the area where you're going to be tossing parts in and stuff and banging around and bouncing off stuff. And that's exactly what the salting technique is supposed to represent, is chipping of paint. So I thought the salting technique for the back end of the truck would be perfect for that, whereas the front of the truck would be more of a was wearing off type of thing, is being rubbed away type of thing. So I think the two different techniques work out really, really well and help us tell the story of the truck. Let's take a peek under the bonnet. And yes, we did paint the underside of the hood this time. Yay! It's a rarity. Up and away. Here we go. So here's our green top battery that I'm every time you guys see a green top battery, you're gonna think of me, right? So then there's our engine. We painted that with TS10. That's T as in Tom, S as in Samuel, 10. That's the French blue from Tamiya, and I figured that would be a better engine block color than what the call-outs were calling for. I don't even remember what they wanted. I just remember they wanted yellow valve covers, and I wasn't too big on that. Yeah, we did a little weathering on the radiator, and then just gave the whole thing a nice grime wash. And we did do a little Gulf oil decal on the heater box back there. I thought that was kind of a fun deal to do. One thing I do want to point out about the kit is that the radiator grill is molded open, which is awesome. But it's not very deep. It's fairly shallow, and then right behind there is the bulkhead. So if you want to, I ended up painting mine black because I was too far along in the build to change anything. But it's definitely something you want to consider, possibly just marking out the opening here and then cutting that away behind there, so that you have an actual visual interest going on back there, something to see rather than just, because I almost missed it. I went to glue the grill in there. It was all body color back there, and I was like, ooh, that's not good. So I ended up just having to put some flat black in there and cover that up. And then one thing I was very happy about that pickup truck kit seemed to have problems with is the bumpers. These went on great. No problem at all. Really liked it a lot. The only thing that I got confused about in the directions, and then I finally saw the little blurb about it, was that the windows do go in from the inside. The instructions show you applying them from the outside. They have little dashed lines pointing to where they go, but in reality, the wing windows and rear window go in from the inside, and the front windshield actually goes in from the outside pretty easily. There are some tabs along the top and bottom that help hold the windshield in place, but the ones on the bottom are a little bit too long to help us keep it in place. So I ended up sanding those down quite a bit, and then it just press fit in place. Not a problem at all. So there we go, guys. I'm going to add a couple of pictures of the interior, the seat, specifically the seat, add a couple of pictures at the end of this here for some detail stuff. And then we'll talk to you a little bit later on. Y'all have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye now.